Good morning and welcome to Life and Style Relationship Wednesday, coming to you right from the 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel, right here at the airport. You know, good ambience in this place. You want to have a business meeting, you want to just have leisure, you want to bring out your family, you want to hang out by yourself, accommodation, seeking accommodation. If you're watching from outside of the country or outside of the city and you're looking for a place to come to when you come to Nairobi, somewhere that is very close to the airport, this is actually within the airport grounds, then this is a definite place that you would want to come to. I've got my panel together with me, but before I introduce them, I've got to let you know the drill. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style, and then follow us on our social media platforms at KTN Life _Style. That is for both Twitter and Instagram, KTN Life and Style for Facebook. And then you could also follow me at CJ Atemo, both on Twitter, Instagram, CJ Atemo also on Facebook. We're going to talk about surviving long-distance relationship. People keep on asking that every now and then. They want to know, can it work? Does it work? Can you trust somebody that is far away from you? And I've got these three people together with me this morning. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, beginning from my father's right, the lady at the farthest. Sebi, how are you? Kindly introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sebi Kokeo. I am a PR practitioner and also mastering in international relations.
All right.
Yeah.
It's good to have you. It's been a while. All right.
Yeah, my name is James Mahmi, Director Ignition Africa. And I'm glad to be here.
All right. What
Yes.
are we igniting in Africa? Is it the passion of the young people?
It's leadership development.
Leadership development.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Marin Keseri. I'm a hairdrop stylist and a fashion designer. I'm also a student. It's nice to be here.
All right. So let me start with the student. Long distance relationships, and sometimes when you're a student, then it's unavoidable sometimes because you have this person from where you grew up, and then you go into college somewhere else. Oh, so you're telling me it doesn't work? It doesn't work?
For most people, especially you see when you join the university, you find new people. And every other person has a new boyfriend and a new girlfriend, and your boyfriend ako shago. Then utajua ujui. Yes. So I think for most people, for most university students, it doesn't work because they get to the university and get someone new.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not generally the case, right?
Yeah.
That's not generally.
First of all, probably on long distance relationships, I'll say one thing. Before I got into my past relationship, when I got into the relationship, I told my girlfriend that first of all, kwanza kuna vitu lazima to discuss. First of all, I can't manage a long distance relationship in case you are planning to do so, because sometimes you get into a relationship and there's this talk that comes up when a lady wants to go to study in US and sijui anataka kwenda wapi na wewe sasa hiyo usha establish dreams zako Kenya. So I made that point clear, but later on in the relationship something happened because she had just finished campus, 1 year out of campus. She was looking for a job, and this job opportunity comes and it's away from Nairobi. That's when nilijua kweli ile nilikuwa nasema long distance relationship ni tabu. Kwangu ni tabu kabisa, but there is a way it can be managed, though at that particular time we did not succeed to manage it, but there is a way it can be managed, probably a couple of ways that it can be managed.
But what would be your greatest challenge with long distance?
Personally, I will say proximity is such an issue because I would want to be seeing the person I'm dating or the person I'm in a relationship with oftenly. Everyone has his own love language, and if mine is quality time, then long distance to me can't work. Yeah.
There's no difference between short distance and long distance relationship. There is no proximity. The reason why I'm saying this is that both of them have pros and cons. Yeah, there's a positive side of a long distance and a negative side. Same to actually they equate. When you say that short distance means you can be with people but lonely. You can be with your partner but lonely. Then you can be alone but not lonely. So
that one to me doesn't make any sense. I don't think there's something like short distance relationship. There is only proximity whereby you are able to meet You can be in Kawangware and it's long for me. But now, what I'm talking about is that the long-distance relationship whereby you cannot meet. Now, to make sure that you sustain such a relationship, then hope has to be alive. Now, how do you keep hope alive in that particular relationship?
You talked about quality time. And don't you think that even in long-distance relationship, you can still have quality time? Where if this person is working in Mombasa, then you schedule once a month, I'm coming, the whole weekend, phones are switched off, we are having quality time.
Now, that is one method of making a long-distance relationship survive. But you know, it is always exciting the first times that you're visiting someone every month, or probably you say that you love them so much you'll be visiting them every week. But after a year, you realize this one cannot be sustained, especially with a couple of factors. I tried that. I can't tell you where she went, but I tried that, but it didn't work for me. But the thing is, you have to keep hope alive to make sure that a long-distance relationship survives. Now, the methods of keeping hope alive are different to each and every person.
Do you think that James, his was just a personality issue?
Yes, I would say that we're not going to use his as a yardstick for this, because generally, if you know where you're going, if you know we can't say that I'm meeting you today, we don't know about tomorrow. What if change comes tomorrow? Are you going to stop the relationship because someone's destiny or someone's there's a greener pasture somewhere? I think long-distance relationship is not peculiar at all. It's the same thing. It depends with your values and what you guys think of, yeah? For instance, a quality time is quality time, whether it's a long distance or you are with the person. Yeah, you can create time. And then if we look at the pillars of surviving long-distance relationship, I would say that communication is quality. And communication can also lack when you guys are
when
together.
You're close.
Yes, when you're close. So then there's also trust. We have our partners who don't trust us, we live in the same house. So really, it does not matter whether there's a long distance. We just need to be more flexible and adjustable, because it's doable, really. If we close our minds that long distance relationship doesn't work, then it means we don't want to grow.
You have mentioned the element of communication, and you've mentioned the thing of trust. And there are people, I was thinking that also, there are people who could be just in the neighborhood. And then there's the danger now of them being taken for granted. Because I'm thinking, I can always see her, so it's not a big deal. I don't need to communicate during the day because she knows I'll be in the hood in the evening or something. Is it possible that sometimes then long distance puts people on toes to communicate better, to put in some bit of an effort?
Because you see, in every relationship, I always say, in every relationship, as she said also, communication is key. And imagine if you guys are not talking and you guys are far away. Maybe I'm in Kenya, someone else is in Uganda or Tanzania or wherever, and you guys are not talking. How will that relationship run? You see, and at times, communication keeps you guys together, and that spark, because you're always in touch. So if there's no communication, even if I'm here and you're there and there's no communication, that relationship will not last.
But still, on the subject of communication in a long distance relationship, I will advise that there should be any organized or scheduled communication, because I've noted that most relationships, especially once someone travels and they start engaging in a long distance, they always schedule to pigianange every day at 10, every day in the morning and in the evening before you sleep. If that happens, then the day that that person will be busy and will not be able to call you, then will raise suspicion. And actually what has killed most long distance relationship is suspicion. It's suspicion and truth to things that you feel that what is happening. He is no longer calling me. So I would advise that if there is any kind of communication that has to happen in a long distance, let it not be forced, but let it be organic, in that it can happen anytime. But anytime you try to schedule a communication that you'll be calling in the morning, make sure you call in the morning, at lunchtime you tell me where you are, tell me where you're going. It has to be organic, because these things, you try fixing them, and that day probably you find yourself you're in church or somewhere else, then someone starts suspecting you. Those are killers of a long distance relationship.
Let me just factor this in. long distance relationship, the art of communication, you don't need to excessively communicate. What I mean by this is that you don't need to schedule. Communicate regularly, but appropriately, and at appropriate time, and organically. Thank you for that word. Yeah. So that you, yes, it should overflow, so that you don't bump into, when you schedule it. Sometimes there is a our time difference, or wherever someone is in abroad. So I think it should be organically as you speak, and regularly, and again clearly. Yeah, you need to block the suspicion. When you communicate appropriately, yeah. I am sure if I call you and you don't pick, I would probably think he's in church, he's sleeping, he's doing this. But you see, when we don't understand each other and our time frame, yeah, then it brings a problem.
Where is the place of the personalities in this? That's why I asked whether the issue, like with James, is it a personality? Where is the place of personalities? Where is the place also of personal growth? Because there are some people who want to communicate a lot. They're very communicative. It's just them, the personality. So if you say regular but don't over communicate, they'll be troubling you.
Yeah. I think to just clarify on that matter, there's something that I was talking to some young people in my organization about how to sustain a relationship. And one of the main keys of how to have a successful relationship anywhere in the world and with anyone, first of all, is intimacy. To developing intimacy. And we know that intimacy is not an act. Intimacy is a state of existence. So that state of existence has to be kept by both parties. So
there are people who will misinterpret. There are people who will misinterpret your word intimacy. So can you break it down?
Now, intimacy, as I was saying, it's a state of existence. Now, the more you trust someone, the more and more you know their ambitions, the more and more you know their dreams, the more you know their wishes and their purpose, then it develops intimacy. Now, when you are in a long-distance relationship, there is no more and more. Because what a long-distance relationship does, it kills the process of intimacy, of developing that state of existence. So in your own thinking, you will start thinking that intimacy is an act. When you meet, then you become intimate. But for you to sustain the relationship, then you have to maintain and process, work towards intimacy, know this person more, trust them more, know their ambitions more, know their achievements.
Melanie, you're shaking your head. But then when we started, you said that when people get, for example, when they get into a place like college, and it's not just with young people, because, we hear marriages that are breaking because somebody moved into a different town or a different location. And you'll hear that, I went to visit, they never wanted me to visit. When I went over there, I realized that they were living with somebody else or something like that. But you talked about that, but James is saying that the distance kills the process of intimacy, which you don't seem to agree with, yet at the onset, you said when people go far, they begin to notice people around them.
She talked about communication and trust. You see, so especially with the young people, when you join the university, there's a lot of peer pressure, honestly. And you find that you join the university, you don't know a lot of things, or uko na kiherehere nyingi, and you meet some people out here, and they influence you. And you find that umesahau, the person who's back there. Yet, maybe hadi mlikuwa mepangiwa, you guys are going to get married. You see?
But trust is an element of intimacy.
Exactly.
If you trust one with your heart, then you are developing intimacy.
And if you trust someone away, you are still developing intimacy.
Yes.
No, you can trust, but it has to have the ingredients of intimacy. Like if I know your dreams, I know your wishes, I know your purpose. For me to know your purpose, your dreams, your wishes, I have to stay with you. To stay with you, understand you, hear you talk, see how you do things. Then I'll be able to understand how you can manage and your personality of how to manage your purpose. But if you are not around, probably I'll see someone else around me. Where it works now with proximity, because in relationships, proximity is very important. Proximity
is that a man thing? Is that a man thing?
That's a man thing.
Proximity is a man thing.
Proximity is very important.
If I want to say this, You see, when you talk of intimacy, you just explained what you mean by intimacy here. And you say, okay, the meaning of intimacy, you say a state of existence.
Yes.
A state of existence whereby trust is involved, yeah?
Yes.
Communication is involved, learning to know the other person. You can still get another thing on top to say that I am learning someone's personality when they are far, yeah? If you want to live with somebody, you have to learn how to live by yourself, independently, yeah? I have to know my values. When Pastor Chris is talking about personality, there are so many people who are tenacious, they are self-sufficient, that they believe in themselves, they trust themselves, therefore they want to trust the other person on the other end. So whether you are going to abroad for 5 years, their goal focus is, he will come someday, as long as he's alive, we are under the same air, we shall be happy. So I'm thinking if you take the other person's personality and marry with your personality, yeah, then the intimacy will exist.
Talking about the matter of personality, I still have this thing of the personal development. You know, like Sebi saying, the people who, their personality, they can actually survive in their own space. They feel they can be they would want to be a bit more independent. I don't like to use that word, but they feel like, you know what, I want to be by myself, and I want the other person to focus on their own goals, focus on their own dreams. We meet when we need to, we can do that. So they can actually work very well with a long distance relationship. They don't want somebody around their life too much. Then there's also the element of where somebody is at. It may not be their personality, but it's the stage where they are at as they are growing. Sometimes they need to be somewhere else, but they're really a good person that you could connect to. Don't you think that, James, you need to consider these factors sometimes? Because I couldn't meet somebody who's very good for me, but then they also need space. Do I then say that it can't work, yet they actually show you that they can govern their own lives?
I think one thing, I'll clarify this, that I'm not totally against long distance relationship, because one thing that helps people need each other more actually is distance. Because if you give another person the space for individuality to be them, then it helps in that period, so that they identify their purpose, their vision, and all those things. But the place of personalities, now when you get into a relationship with someone, especially if you are a man, what I talked about, intimacy, working towards intimacy. Now, the process of working towards intimacy, first of all, begins with developing oneness in spirit, if I can use that. Developing oneness in spirit, not just in flesh, developing oneness in spirit. Now, once we develop oneness in spirit, we are able to agree on some things. Once we are in agreement or in harmony, we are able to agree on some things like, now, how will we manage this relationship? How will we do this and this? But not someone to decide that I am going and I have decided I am going. You know, there are some people who decide. Like the people you said who prefer staying alone, like those are mostly boss ladies and feminism, like, people like this. Yeah, those are boss ladies and they prefer staying alone. You are far away. There are men, but very.
There are relationships. There are relationships that don't survive proximity. Yeah. There are certain people. They know how to work their way around when, and even with some men, they know how to work their way around when one person is working in Mombasa, one person is working in Nairobi. Yeah. If they stay around each other together for long, they begin to have issues. Yeah. What would be the reason that these people have issues? Is it a matter of I'm so used to running my life? Is it a matter of space? Is it a matter of now beginning to identify things in the other person that...
No, I think relationship is a complex institution that we have to accept, yeah? Again, if you want to believe that the other person should be like you, then you will be selfish, yeah? So anytime you're getting into a relationship with somebody, you need to learn their personality. As you court, with time you will get to know he does not like this, so that therefore you reduce your expectations.
No, but my point is that once you come into a relationship, you have to crush your ego and your personality. There are some things that you cannot carry on to a relationship. you have to think, you have to marry them and come in oneness in spirit, agree of what you can work with and what you cannot work with. Because before you decide to get along with someone, maturity is very important. Maturity to make sure that this person will work with this and will not work with this, and I'm ready to put down this.
Is that what, Sebi, is that what you mean by your expectations, lowering your expectations?
Yes, because you're not going to be concrete. You're not going to be, standstill. That because this is how I do my things. For instance, I stay alone, right? If I will be staying with somebody else, how I operate will normally change. It's inevitable. You have to start thinking differently. Yeah. You start to... I
was thinking a naughty thought, but I don't...
Oh, come on.
She looks like the kind of person that now, when somebody will come into her space, everything must be very structured.
No, not true. So I also have to understand the other person, that there's individual differences, and the other person is coming in with some completely different personality that you people need to know how to work.
See now, because now she's becoming a spectator. But there's this element sometimes, talking again about the personality. So you're dating, courting, or married to somebody who's very outgoing, and they have to work far away from you. What kind of a person must you be in order to make that thing work? If it is somebody who's very outgoing, it's not that they flirt, it's not that they give you any reason for you to doubt them, but they're just a people person. Then they're working in a different town, or they're going into a different country. What is it that you must do so that you don't allow that personality to become a reason why you are hurting a relationship that has no reason to be hurt?
In the first place, before you get into a relationship with someone, there are a few things, or there are some things you need to know about them and also know yourself personally. So before you get into a relationship with someone, you should know their personality, right? So you know 1, 2, 3 about them, and once you know 1, 2, 3 about them, that tells you you will learn how not to overstep their, their life or their personality. You see, so I think if someone is supposed to go out of the country, you guys need to talk, put a few things into place, you see. And then I think communication, as I always say, communication really matters, and the matter of trust. If you trust the other person, even if they don't pick your call, you will not feel as if, oh, they are doing something fishy.
What's the quality, James? So if I'm working in London and I've got this personality, for example, the one I'm talking about. So I meet different people. I meet people out there, and then I've got a wife who trusts me. How much should I let her know about my day-to-day dealings, the people that I meet, in order to keep that element of trust?
No, it's not necessary. How much is not necessary? I think where trust exists, when someone already knows what you are doing, I say that every relationship is a contingent of agreement. Now you have to agree on the boundaries that one must keep in their career. Like you should not go to London, working in London, and nakuona unaenda swimo na mademu wa London, and really, I'm in Kenya, I'm seeing you swimming with someone else.
So I should not swim when I'm in London?
No, not swimming with other girls, eh? So it's like one thing.
So you were in the pool, and then you found some ladies in the pool. So
no, there are some things you can see, and you realize hapa kulikuwa na kakitu. So it raises suspicion. Once you're in a long-distance relationship, those are things that you need to be careful about, especially...
so don't you think that what I'm asking is valid? Like, let me just say, look, today I was going out, there's this person that I met on the set, on the show, she's called Sebi, so we were having lunch. Don't you think that it is important for me to just volunteer information like that?
I think if you do that, if you keep telling, I think that is openness. You see, if you're open to your partner, they will never feel someone is cheating, because every time you're telling them something, you see? Yeah, so I think if I'm open and they're open, there's nothing up at katikati.
You just need to be open. You just need to be open, whereby maybe this person will be interacting with her oftenly. But if you've just met a lady at this hotel, do you need to tell your wife everything? You'll meet other many people.
The confusion comes in when you structure communication. But when it comes, you talk about organic. I love that one. It's by nature that, hey, I'm going out for swimming. I am with the chief friend and so. I mean, whenever I see you guys, I'm fine because you've prepared me. Yeah, so communicate amicably. I mean, make it.
And if I have a problem with it, then it's something that can be dealt with. I can then raise it and say, I'm not comfortable. So even that, then we're developing the intimacy you are talking about, because information is flowing. But if information is not flowing, James, I'm just worried that one day this person stumbles into a picture somewhere, then they cause a hula baloo around it, and the other person is thinking, but there's really no big deal about it. But if information is flowing, then you can actually also pick up what the other person is thinking.
And I think for the person who is away, they should creatively manage the expectation of their partner, especially if you have taken a lot of photos. Maybe you are in London and taken a lot of, let her see those photos and explain to them while they are seeing the photos, so that next time they bump into such a photo, they are aware that this has been, this is the lifestyle probably this person is living. But one thing that I would say, and I will suggest that most that couples or people in relationship do, they handle things with decorum. Like, decorum is the most important thing, especially when you are away. Think about your partner and handle yourself as a person who is in a relationship, other than just mishandling and doing funny stuff that can raise suspicion probably to your partner.
What about those people who think, you know, and sometimes they'll be propped by their friends, like, you've got to keep on going to visit. We talked about communication, but then there's that element of meeting where somebody feels like you've got to keep on going to see because you never know. You don't know. Yeah, maybe trust issues, but a lot of people think from the point of negative. So they say, you know, you've got to go there. If you want to prove that this person still wants you in their life, you've got to go over there. And then you find a partner who is saying, look, I'm not sure it's the right time for you to come. Maybe they're thinking cost or something. How is somebody supposed to handle that, you know?
I think when it comes to quality time, when it comes to traveling, you know, or making turn-taking, whoever comes, it also depends on financial stability. Therefore, if there's a problem, I wouldn't expect my boyfriend abroad to be paying for my air ticket and all that. It only depends with how you communicate, how well do you know your partner. Yeah? How well do you know the person? Can he manage? If he can't, you're not going to jump over your shoulder, your shadow to get to know. You just need to trust the person. The person needs to make it worth trusting. Yeah.
I think I'll quote one scripture, if you allow me, that says that perfect love drives out fear. Now, if you find yourself in a position where you are being controlled by fear, you are controlled by suspicion, you are controlled by anxiety, then just know that there's something that is going to happen that's wrong.
Isn't it natural? Isn't it natural for you when you love somebody? Well, you started by saying, you know, you need the element of proximity. There's a certain need. Don't you think that that's a need to want to be in somebody's space and they want to be in your space? Don't you think it's a bit natural for us to want to know that we belong there? Sometimes not just fear, but it's just that thing of wanting to ascertain our place.
At times, it's for a good reason. I just missed him and I want to go see him. But if I'm planning, I'm going to see who is in that house. See, if you have, you know, that negative, and you fear that maybe there's someone there and you want to go and do kukua CID, you know, you will find what you're looking for.
But for me, I don't call it fear. I call it positive jealousy. But like you are jealousy for a good reason.
Sometimes the jealousy, it's too much, honestly. It's too much.
No, if it's too much, maybe they love you too much.
No.
Say this, that there's something that people ignore, and it's really a big deal. You know, mind is liquid. I put it like this. Whatever you feed it with, it's the shape it takes. The moment you start thinking, I want to go there to discern, or to how do they put it? I want to see, yeah, I want to mark my territory. They say mark my territory. Then that's so wrong, because it means you're lacking the trust. You're not sure with your partner. Therefore, what you need to do is always feed your mind with positive thinking. Yeah, because your mind will take the shape of what you think. You see, when everybody,
So
all of us...
do women trust women?
I trust women.
You do?
Yes, but I don't want to use my moral as a yardstick. Women don't trust women.
Generally, right?
Generally, yeah. Because
so you'll find that if you've got a man elsewhere, then mostly a woman will feel the need to go and mark her territory, just so that
it's natural.
Other ladies will know this man is taken. It's nearly a natural thing for women, right?
Yes. Yes. But it doesn't stop the women from coming.
Exactly, because
it doesn't stop whether you women. Human beings are funny. You say, don't pee here.
They will do that, exactly. What you say don't is what they do.
Yes, so even if you say he's married, in fact, no woman wants a man that no woman wants. If they realize you have a girlfriend.
I don't know whether you agree with that, but no. Did you hear that? That no woman wants a man who no woman wants. Every woman wants a man that everybody wants. I want to hear your thoughts. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style. Talk to Pastor Chris. It's crazy, but all right.
What I mean is that Pastor Chris has no girlfriend. What's wrong with him? You know, it looks funny. I mean, women attract. There is a way I will be attracted where a woman is. It's how women are wired. That's why there's jealousy bit. Yeah, I want to be like her. I want to be treated the way Pastor Chris is treating that girl. And that's where the evil comes in, unfortunately, for women. Yeah, because we don't think we are different. That's why we end up having our friends' spouses, because we think the way he treats her is the same way he will treat me. But if the guy was just single-handed, I'm telling you, no woman will get close to him.
But it's not right to say no woman, because there are some women actually who want good guys.
Good. No, what I mean by this, by the way, my statement is not blanket.
It's very broad, but it's a general statement.
Yes.
It has to be.
I mean, there must be. It has to be relatable. We have to know you can relate him with a woman. That's it. That's what I mean.
But now let's talk about how long, in terms of duration, should a long-distance relationship take? What is the fair timeline that you should have? Because, you know, having a long-distance relationship, you know, should it take a year? Should it be like 7 years? I'm waiting for my man, or I'm waiting for the lady to go through studies. It's 7 years, and we've been dating, and it's been long-distance. How long would be fair enough?
I think for that one, it depends with the individuals in the relationship. You cannot really say how long, because maybe you are at a position in your relationship where you wanted to get married in the next 6 months. Then this person suddenly gets a job for 8 years. Then that one cannot work.
Should you join them? Should you join them then? Are you supposed to wait for 8 years?
You have to agree. You have to agree, because if you have to get married here, then that person wants to go now. Then at that point, maybe you can give them 5 months.
Because I've seen people who sometimes they'll feel like, okay, because you're going to go away for long, so let's seal the deal here before you go. Let's just farm it up, get married, so that when you go, then we are married, then I can join you, because they feel that that's going to take so long.
But one thing that I mentioned earlier is that once you're in a long-distance relationship, one important thing is to keep hope alive. To keep hope alive, like you have to keep hope that we'll be together soon, not putting a period of 10 years. Me at 10 years, I cannot even wait for you for 3 years.
Does it get better when you know that you're married to this person?
I think it's about the soul tie. It's how you feel. It's your feelings. Yeah, that one is manifested in feelings. If you know, people love momento. They'll say, after all, he's married me now, so let him just go. He can waste his time. We keep hope alive. You also have to work on that, keeping the hope alive.
It's better even if you are not married. When you are married, a long-distance relationship is not workable. Tutaishi pamoja. Where I go, you will go, or we either stay together or we are not together.
But there's certain decisions, and you just raised up that. There's certain decisions that, you know, there's an opportunity. Maybe in the financial goals of this particular family, they're thinking that in the next 10 years, we need to be owning our home. We want to have our own home. And then an opportunity comes that can facilitate that dream, like in the next 5 years. And sometimes it comes through the woman. The man is staying back. And they both know this is very important for them at that particular point, and maybe also for settling their children. Are you going to say don't go because we must live in the same house?
No, it depends. That one depends on factors, and especially the factor of at what stage is your marriage or your relationship. There's a place you get in marriage, even staying away from each other is not a big deal because you are able to manage that. But you're in your initial stages, especially the first year in marriage, you cannot pull such a stunt, seriously. Like you're going for 5 years, and you're just married, you're from honeymoon, and then you say you're going to 5 years away, and probably I'm not able or capable of visiting you oftenly. So it all depends on a couple of factors, especially at what point and at what stage are we in our marriage? Is there something that we need to build in our personal relationship before we start building the outside?
I want to throw this to the ladies. You know, generally, the greatest challenge for men when they have a woman in their lives with a long distance, generally, the greatest challenge for the man is physical intimacy. When the man is married, so his greatest challenge will be physical intimacy. Women can, okay, well, that's an assumption. I'm not very sure that it's true anymore. I'm not sure it's true anymore because this generation is on another level. The things that women never used to do, they're doing them, you know, the empowered woman. Well, but women generally can stay celibate longer than the man and focus on other things. When somebody is making the decision of a long-distance relationship, you know, how do you factor in these needs that most men have? Because sometimes then a man will go to the closest woman around and he feels, I'm still in a relationship, my wife or my fiance is abroad, but then he's meeting a certain need somewhere else. How do we work around this thing of this man having difficulty keeping themselves?
I think
it's morning TV, that's why I went round and round and round.
Yes, I know. I want to deconstruct your statement. First of all, these guys can still have an intimacy outside, whether you're there or not. Therefore, yes, they do, whether you're there or not. What not I think, no, okay, I've said some. I'm saying some, yeah, it can work, yeah. So it's not a structured kind of that because their wife is away, so he will go astray. No, what I mean is, once that thing should be clear from the word go, that now you have to go, and then you also have to think about personal growth. Even if we had our wedding yesterday and he got a better scholarship for tomorrow, or I got one that I have to go, I think it also has to be clear of what we are focusing on, because I'm not going to change what the other person wants to do.
I think she's running away from the question. One thing that you need to realize that sensuality, we all have sensual desires, especially the drives. Now, as a man, I don't think I'll wait for 1 year killing my drives daily, like Pastor Chris will say, dying daily, and you are away. So the question is very clear. Just tell us, how do we manage those?
Women. Imagine if you leave the country and have children around. You see, you live with children, right?
But Pastor Chris said women can manage. But
yes,
for us,
we can manage. We can manage. You see, a woman knows what they want. You know.
How should the man get back to this thing? How are you supposed to help the man so that he manages this? Because most of the time, you know, when women begin to complain about in long distance relationship, they will say that the man started having somebody else. Most generally, and I say generally, most generally, is because there is this need, this desire that he feels needs to be met. And for the woman, it's easier for her to keep herself celibate. For most men, for a lot of men, not all, but for a lot of men, that may be a great challenge. And so he has somebody he's committed to who is away. Then he's right here, he's hanging out.
There's nothing you can do about it, honestly.
I think there's communication bit, then there is, I mean, technology has made it so easy
But again,
for
you
even
can,
the
look, let me
intimate
tell you, you can talk with your man. You can talk with your man right now. You can talk with your man. You can even video call, and once you're done, he will go and do his own
Listen,
thing.
I'm suggesting Skype. I'm suggesting video
No,
calls. There are
it
so
will
many
not even
things.
help, by the way,
I hope
because
it has
you can say,
distractions to distract him from,
No.
so that he doesn't go elsewhere.
No, not to distract him, but to also help him help himself.
you see, let me tell you, sweetheart, let me tell you something, sweetheart. You will talk with your man, right now, video call, do everything, and then after he's done talking to you, these men.
There is nothing.
Hey,
No,
hey.
there is
No,
nothing
no,
that
no,
can
James.
replace physical intimacy.
Of course you can't
You want
compare.
to replace physical with the.
With Skype, it can't happen.
So are we saying then that the visits, we talked about openness, we talked about trust, we talked about communication, then that element of time because I also asked the question about how long should it take, and it's like there's certain factors that you've got to consider. So are we saying then it is important for these two people to meet also?
Yes. Because you cannot be having conversations on Skype for a whole year, honestly. A whole year, just conversations. Hey, your man, he will cheat. Hey, he will cheat.
But it's
Well, you see, a woman can actually stay for a very long time. Trust me, women
But
can.
this generation is different, right?
This generation is different.
Oh my goodness, this generation is empowered in all,
We have
on all fronts.
technology.
I think it's important to understand your partner's drives,
Sure.
because there are people who cannot stay longer without having the meal. So it's very
Should they
important.
communicate that to their partner?
No,
Sure.
you should understand that while in the relationship.
And communicate.
And communicate it
It's-
clearly. You communicate
you
it
should be
clearly.
open to your partner.
If you're away,
Yeah.
I will survive.
Yes,
Yeah. If
it
you
should
hear
be
that,
exclusive, actually.
Tell
Because
your partner, if you are away, Mimi.
Maybe your
you
wife
go
can
with
come up
her.
with a suggestion, right? Your wife can come up with a suggestion. You know, women are natural. Yes.
That's your suggestion, like?
Yes.
she may travel back.
Come. She can
see
even
you.
come. Yeah. She can even come and see you.
Yeah, she should. She
So
should.
the whole thing is about the value that is placed on the relationship, so that everything then is done around this relationship. So if this man, for example, if it is a man, it's not always a man, because women nowadays, I will say that again and again, women nowadays are on another level. But if this man feels he cannot survive, he cannot stay on his own and stay celibate without the woman in his life, his wife is away for 2 years, he cannot stay. Should he join her? Should he stop her from going? What is he supposed to do? I still need to help a man out there right now.
That is a subject of agreement as well. But first of all, we on the subject of submission. First of all, it's the woman who needs to submit to the man. We have to agree on that, so that the woman submits to the man's purpose. Now, if that fails, and becomes vice versa, then that one is subject to agreement by both of you. That for me to agree to come and join you where you are, then that's a reverse of the order. That's a reverse of the order. So it has to be clearly crafted, so that I also don't feel inferior, because men are always feeling well when they are providing, and that is scientific. So if in any case the woman is the one who is providing and the woman is the one who is ahead, then that one has to be put clearly and has to be subject to agreement.
There are men who will be afraid of joining their women wherever they are, because it feels like, okay, so she's the one in charge, she's the one making money, if I go there, I have to submit to her, so I don't want to join her, I want to stay over here. Is that an ego problem?
No, it's not an ego
nature.
problem. It's
It's
not an
nature.
ego problem.
Look, you want the meal.
So you'd rather, like pay a house on the other side, pay a house on this other side, do that because you don't want to go into a place where you feel that the woman is going to take the lead.
I think people peg it more on ego, and it's not. Yeah, because even from the truth is, let me be biblical a bit, but even the Bible says that women should submit, men should provide. You understand? So when a man feels like he's detaching himself from what the norm is, he feels a bit.
It's not even a feeling, it just comes naturally.
It's a natural.
It's natural, yeah. So it's to the wisdom of the woman now to make sure that there's a way that the man is empowered, so that they don't feel that they're
Inferior, yeah.
All right. It's an age-old question, and it will keep on coming up every time. But then, And people will always have to make these decisions, especially in a day when the economic aspect of life is also very, very magnified. So people are looking out for green pastures. People are looking out for how they can better themselves financially. So one person may be needed to go and work elsewhere, or somebody studied somewhere else. It's something that both of you can do. Well, it's not the easiest to manage. It's not the easiest to survive long distance, but then it's something that you can do. As with the panel, we say that openness and communication and just building trust. And James talked about the process of getting that intimacy, and sometimes being very, what would I call it? Intentional. Yes, that's the word that I was looking for. Being very intentional about meeting and keeping it. Well, if you know that you're not the type to survive it, don't get into it. But if you know that you can, then go ahead and try to work around it. That's all the time we have had. Coming to you from 4 Points by Sheraton right here at the airport. You can come and hang out over here, spend some time with your family, your friends, business partners. We come in from the business lounge over here, and that's the time that we've had on Talk to Pastor Chris. Crystal Okusa is coming up next right now with Style with Crystal. Don't go anywhere. Keep it right here.